Hi, today we are going to be looking at the tourism industry, and so by the end of this video you should be able to describe the main sectors of the tourism industry. So, what is the tourism industry? Well, it is all activity related to the temporary movement of people to locations away from where they usually live. So, all economic activity related to tourists and travellers. And it's one of the world's largest industries. Many countries make a lot of money and rely on the tourism industry to help earn money for their country. And the tourism industry is made up of 5 sectors or areas. And that's what we're going to look at. So, the 5 areas of the tourism industry that we have got are transportation, entertainment, food and beverage, connected industries and accommodation. And what I'm going to do for the rest of the video is I'm going to take you through the different sectors and the main areas of those sectors, so the main subsectors, and we're going to talk a little bit about what each subsector is and some of the jobs that are available within those subsectors. So let's start off with transportation. Transportation gets tourists to and from their holiday and around the destination when they are on holiday. And on the screen here we can see some of the different transport subsectors that we have got within the tourism industry. So, air travel, that's probably the first type of transport that you think about when you think about tourism. So we've got domestic and overseas flights. Remember, domestic flights are flights that occur within the same country, for example, flying from Manchester to Bristol, and overseas flights take you to a different country. And those flights can also be split up into scheduled and chartered flights. Scheduled are our regular flights, probably the flight that you have been on before. Chartered flights are private flights that an organisation or an individual can book, and only certain people can go on those flights if they are invited. And there are loads of different jobs that we find within the air travel subsector. Pilot, cabin crew, cargo specialists, engineers, firefighters, airport security officers, there are hundreds. Okay, we've also got rail travel. So rail travel can be split up into different types of travel in terms of tourism. We can think about transport to the destination, so taking you to your holiday, and then using trains to travel around your destination. So if you go to London on holiday, it's highly likely that you're going to take the Underground. That is rail travel around your destination. And we also have rail travel where people take a trip on a train as their holiday. For example, you might go interrailing around Europe, or you might take a long distance train journey such as the Ghan in Australia. And there are lots of jobs that we find on rail travel. So we've got obviously train drivers, conductors, train station staff, but if you're then taking part in a long distance train journey like going on the Ghan, there'll be people on your train like chefs, waiting staff, people to help you turn down your beds and things like that. Okay, we have car rental. So car rental is usually used by people when they get to their destination to travel around, and it allows flexibility for tourists to explore where they want, when they want. And car rental companies are usually found close to airports and close to hotel resorts, because that's maybe where people are going to book their travel. As well as car rental, in some parts of the world, camper van rental is really popular and is becoming more popular. Lots of people, for example, go to Australia, maybe on a gap year, hire a camper van for a period of time and drive on a long distance trip. So jobs within the car rental subsector include sales assistant, promoters, so advertising, car rental, mechanics, car valets, administrators, people who investigate insurance claims that have been made. Lots of opportunities there. And we've also got things like website designers, because often people will book their car rental through a website. We've got water transport. So again, this can be split up into several little sectors. So we've got ferries that transport travellers from A to B, for example, if you were going from Dover over to Calais. And then we've got our cruise liners as well. So a holiday in itself where you get on a cruise ship, it sails you around, you sleep on the cruise ship and you stop off at different ports on your way. So hundreds of jobs in this sector. Captain of the ship, a crew sales assistant, an engineer, a doctor or a nurse on a cruise ship, an entertainer on a cruise ship, a beauty therapist, the list goes on and on. We have coach travel. So this is transport to your destination or transport around your destination. And people can take a package holiday where maybe you travel around on a coach for your trip. So jobs include coach drivers, tour guides, mechanics, things like that. And the last type of travel that we've got in our travel sector is space travel. Now, this is where people head for a little trip into space, and it's becoming more and more popular, although only for the richer people, because trips are very, very expensive. The first space tourist that we had was Dennis Tito, and he travelled to the International Space Station, and that trip cost him $20 million US. So it's not an accessible type of travel for normal people at the moment. Only 7 people in the world have been space tourists so far, but there are a couple of companies who are hoping to make it a little more accessible. So Virgin Galactic have got a space plane that they fly up into the atmosphere, and you float around for a couple of minutes in 0 gravity and then come back to Earth. 700 plus people have bought tickets for this so far, but the ticket prices start at $200,000 for a kind of 5-minute trip into space. So jobs here include sales assistants, space engineers, astronauts, who knows what else. This is a sector that is going to grow and grow over the next few decades. Alrighty, so the next big sector we have in the tourism industry is accommodation. So accommodation provides places for tourists to stay, and it's a very important sector for the tourism industry because lots of definitions for tourism and tourists don't count a traveller as a tourist until they have stayed somewhere for over 24 hours and until they have used accommodation. So, one of the more common types of accommodation we've got are hotels and hostels. Now, a hotel provides a room and other services, maybe restaurants, beauty, entertainment, at quite a reasonable price, going up to being quite expensive. You might stay in a 5-star hotel and you might have a massive suite that's got 3 or 4 rooms and room service, stuff like that. Hostels are a cheaper type of hotel, so they are for your budget travellers. They often have shared rooms, as seen in the picture on the left, and shared facilities. So you might share a bathroom with other people, you might have a kitchen that you can use, but you have to share it with others. And we've got lots and lots of jobs in the hotel and hostel industries. We've got receptionists, porters, so people who take luggage around, housekeeping, beauty therapists, entertainers, lots of opportunities there. Bed and breakfasts are similar to hotels, but slightly different. So usually they're much smaller, and when you stay in a bed and breakfast, you book a room and you usually get your breakfast provided the next day within the cost. And it's often much more of a family affair, so the owners might live on site. They will be the people that welcome you into the bed and breakfast, and they'll probably be the people that cook your breakfast in the morning. Camping is a big part of the accommodation sector, but usually quite low cost. So we can have people paying to stay on campsites, or people can do wild camping. Wild camping is quite popular in Scotland. This is where you go and you camp just out in the countryside. You don't have to pay anything, but there are no facilities. And in Scotland, people can do that because we have the Scottish Outdoor Access Code. So you can camp anywhere in Scotland. In England, they have different laws around using land that people own. And so in England, you cannot wild camp. So campsites often have extra facilities like a toilet block, a laundry, they might have a shop. Some campsites even have a little cafe or a restaurant where you can get food from. And becoming more popular is glamping. This is glamorous camping, so it's where you go and the tent or where you're going to stay is already set up. It might have a proper bed in it with a mattress, it might have a little fire, and we can see an example of glamping on the bottom picture. So jobs include receptionists, campsite wardens, ground maintenance people, people who mow the grass and do all the repairs. There might be a kids club at a campsite, so you could be a kids entertainer. Lots of different jobs there. We also have timeshares as a type of accommodation for holidays, and you might not have heard of a timeshare before. So this is where you pay a yearly fee to use a house or a cabin for a specific part of the year. So I might pay £4,000, and that means that every April I have a week booked in the cabins in the top picture. So it's like having a holiday home, but you haven't had to buy the whole house. You pay a smaller fee and you have a specific time of the year every year that you can go and use that house, and only you uses that house for that time. So jobs here include receptionists to kind of organise who's staying when, timeshare wardens, so people, if you've got lots of timeshares together, like the top picture, people who go around and make sure that everything's okay, ground maintenance, cleaners, and obviously sales assistants, people who are going to try and sell timeshares to customers and holiday makers. Okay, the third sector we've got is the food and beverage sector. Really important, because this provides food and drink to tourists on all parts of their trip, and it would be a pretty rubbish holiday if you couldn't get food and drink. So the kind of biggest part of this sector is restaurants, cafes, bars and catering. Restaurants start at our fast food restaurants, really cheap, McDonald's, Burger King, all the way up to our high-end expensive restaurants, our Michelin star restaurants, where you may be paying £50 for a certain course. We've also got bars and cafes, much more relaxed eating locations for tourists, and in our bars and cafes we often get some socialising taking place as well as eating or drinking. And then we've got catering. So this is the food and drink that is provided outside our restaurants and cafes. For example, the food that you get on a flight has been prepared by a caterer. The food you might get at hotels is classed as catering, as is the food on a tour ship, or if you've gone for a day trip on a boat to see an island, the food that might be included in your ticket is counted as catering. There are obviously lots of jobs available in this sector. Restaurant managers, chefs, kitchen porters, being a bartender, waiting staff, logistics manager, so getting in all the food and organising, sending the food to different places if you're a catering company. We've also got nightclubs. Now, nightclubs obviously provide nighttime entertainment, and for some parts of the world, nightclubs might be the main reason that people visit that destination. So if we think about Magaluf in Spain, that's really well known for clubbing, and clubbing is the main reason why a lot of people go to Magaluf in Spain. So jobs include bartenders, DJs, sound and lighting engineers, promoters, so people who stand out in the street and say, oh, come into our nightclub, here's some money off, club managers, security guards, booking managers and cleaners. Okay, we've then got the entertainment sector of the tourism industry. So the sector that actually provides activities and attractions for tourists to visit while they are on their trip. And also included in this sector are the businesses and organisations that help tourists access that entertainment. So entertainment might be the main reason why people visit a destination, for example Disneyland Paris, you're going there for the theme park, or our entertainment businesses can just be visited as part of a trip. So more general attractions that could be found anywhere, like a water park. If you go to lots of places in Europe, there'll be lots of different water parks, and that might just be something that you go to for the day on your trip. You've not gone specifically to that town to go to the water park. So, our tourist attractions are places of interest where tourists visit, and they can be split up into kind of different categories. So we've got places of natural beauty, for example Niagara Falls, or in Angus you might go to St Cyrus. Places of historical importance like Edinburgh Castle, and then places of cultural importance, for example going to visit The Hague, or going to see political murals in Belfast and Derry in Northern Ireland that talk about the troubles that occurred there. We also find businesses near tourist attractions that help tourists explore the attraction. For example, maybe a gift shop, or you might have some tour guides standing around who are going to take you around the tourist attraction. And the tourist attraction that you're visiting might be a paid attraction, so a business that is making money from allowing people to see that attraction. Okay, then we've got casinos. So these are entertainment facilities focused specifically on gambling activities, and they are often connected to hotels. So these casinos might offer other entertainment as well, for example, music or comedy performances. So if you go to Las Vegas, where people often travel specifically to go to the casinos, there are also shows that people can go to. There are restaurants that they can visit within the casinos. So casinos are kind of trying to entertain people for long periods of time so that they come and spend more money in the casinos. Jobs here include croupiers, waiters, bartenders, security guards, and entertainers. We've then got tourist information organisations. So these help and advise tourists about their trip, and they're actually really important in making sure that people have a good time when they're away. So we've got two types of ways that we can get tourist information. We've got offline tourist information organisations. So that might be a tourist information centre or a visitor centre where you go in and you can speak to somebody about the place you're either going, or once you're there you can go in and find out about the place. Or it might be some leaflets that have been produced. If you go into a service station in the UK, I can guarantee that somewhere in that service station will be a stand with lots of leaflets on advertising the different tourist attractions that can be found in that area. We've then got online tourist information, so websites such as TripAdvisor that offer people advice about a destination and the activities that you can do there and the hotels and restaurants that are found there. And they're really handy if you're trying to decide where you want to go, or you're trying to pick out what activities to do, because websites such as TripAdvisor usually have ratings and customer feedback on them, so you can see what people are saying about an attraction or a restaurant or a hotel instead of just reading information about that hotel. So jobs include customer assistants working in our tourist information centres, visitor attraction researchers, so people who go out and write the leaflets and find out about whether they're good attractions to advertise, website designers, leaflet designers. We've then got tourist guides and tours. Now these provide tourists with access to organised tours of local attractions, landmarks and other places of interest. And if you use a tour guide or a tour, you are going to gain expert or local knowledge. So this offers a much more insightful experience for the tourists. So jobs here include tour guides, promoters, tour creators, you might be a bus driver on a tour, lots of different jobs. Okay, the final industry that we have got are the connected industries. So this category or sector includes all industries and businesses that help connect customers with travel services. So they're either selling a tourism product or they're giving information and advice about a tourism product. I'm going to look at these in a little bit more detail now. Okay, so you will need to, before you go on holiday, take up some financial services, and these support travellers with any money or insurance needs. So travel insurance is really important, and it's recommended that anybody going on a trip has travel insurance, and it covers travellers for any problems that might occur on a holiday. For example, if your flights are cancelled, you'll get a bit of money back for if you had to book new flights. If you have a medical emergency when you're away on holiday, because not every country has the NHS, and when you go to a different country you're not guaranteed to get access to the medical care there. If you have a medical emergency, like you break your leg, your medical insurance and your travel insurance will cover you for going to hospital and getting treated. Another financial service that everybody will use when they go away on holiday is currency exchange. So changing your pounds into euros or dollars or pesos for depending on the country that you are going to. So lots of different jobs here. We've got a currency exchange sales consultant, that's a long one, an insurance broker, an insurance claims investigator, a customer helpline advisor. We've then got travel agents. So you will have probably heard of a travel agent before. Travel agents are businesses that sell travel or tourism related products to customers on behalf of suppliers. So we can have travel agents who are chains like TUI or Althams or Thomas Cook when it was around, or we can have independent travel agents. So maybe a company that just has 1 or 2 shops in an area like Angus and Horizons Direct, which we find in Montrose, as opposed to TUI, which has hundreds of shops around the UK. Now, travel agents often buy or recommend services and products that are provided by suppliers like an airline for flights, or like tour operators who can give a travel agent a package holiday to sell. And a travel agent will get to know the needs of a customer and will then recommend the best products to meet their needs. That's if you're using a retail travel agent, a travel agent who has a shop like Althams, if you look at the picture on the screen. We also have, though, online travel agents, so like booking.com. Now, this is where you go onto a website and you say the dates that you'd like to go away, and the website will recommend holidays or say holidays that are available, or hotels or flights, and you then have to pick the flight or the hotel that you think is more appropriate. So you have to do a lot of the legwork with an online travel agent, whereas a retail travel agent, you'll sit down, you'll say, oh, this is what I want to do, and they will then present you with the information and help you make a choice. So jobs we've got travel agents, store managers, holiday researchers, website designers if you're going to work for an online travel agent. And what we're seeing as a trend at the moment is our retail travel agents who have shops are also starting to have an online part of their business. So they might have a Facebook page where they post all of the different holidays they've got on offer at the moment, or they might just have a website that you can book through as well. Tour operators are quite closely related to travel agents. That's because they work with travel agents a lot, but they are different to travel agents. That's because tour operators build holidays and sell them as package holidays. So a tour operator will get in touch with an airline and they will say, I would like 30 flights from Glasgow to Magaluf. They will then in Magaluf find a hotel and say, I need 30 rooms. And then they will sell that package holiday of flights from Glasgow to Magaluf and a hotel in Magaluf to customers. And they often sell that package through travel agents. So there are different types of tour operators. The holiday that I've just described from Glasgow to Magaluf is known as a mass market package holiday, and a mass market tour operator will organise trips like that. We've also got specialist tour operators. These are tour operators who are planning trips that fewer people will go on and for a more niche market. For example, they might plan a trip to go to the Galapagos Islands, or to go to Antarctica, or to go to the Himalayas in Nepal. And usually those trips are a lot more expensive and fewer people go on them. We've got domestic tour operators, so these are people who run tours within the UK, and these are often coach trips. So they're really popular with the older generation who might take, for example, a Lochs and Glens tour around the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park and onto the west coast of Scotland. So they will go on a coach, drive maybe from Glasgow, they'll go and stay in a hotel in the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park, and they've been taken there on a coach. They'll maybe go on a boat trip, and then the next day they'll drive to the west coast of Scotland, they'll do a couple of little activities, they'll stay in a hotel there, then they'll drive to the next stop, and so on until they get back. The last type of tour operator we've got is an inbound tour operator. So these are tour operators who plan trips for people coming to the UK from other countries, for example, China or India or the USA. We have the holidays that are made by tour operators are usually a lot cheaper than a holiday if it's booked in its separate components, for example, a flight and then a hotel. And that's because the tour operators buy the flights and the hotel rooms in bulk from the companies that are selling them, and then they get a discount. If a tour operator sells their package holiday through a travel agent, the travel agents make a wee bit of money because the tour operators pay them commission to sell their holidays. But recently that's becoming a little less popular because tour operators are now using the internet to sell their holidays directly to customers. So they've cut out the need for travel agents, which is causing a bit of trouble for travel agents because they're losing some business. So jobs for the tour operator sector, we've got a customer service advisor, an operations manager, maybe a travel consultant, so somebody who goes out and looks at the different holidays and parts of the trip available, website designers, tour guides. Okay, we've got tourism organisations as well. So a tourism organisation is not going to sell a tourist a product, but it works for a business or group of businesses in the tourism industry and acts on their behalf. So a good one to look at is the Association of British Travel Agents. Now, that is kind of a group that travel agents can register with. And when they register with them, they have to show that they follow certain rules and guidelines. For example, they have an appropriate refunds policy. They have appropriate insurance. And this protects travellers if anything goes wrong on a holiday that they've booked through that travel agent. But it also protects the travel agents because it offers the travel agents lots of advice. And so travellers can use the Association of British Travel Agents to complain if they need to and if they need a bit of advice. And the travel agents in turn can get representation and support from the Association of British Travel Agents if somebody is trying to make a complaint about them that they don't think is appropriate. So jobs here include managers, customer support advisors, travel agent advisors, lawyers and researchers. Okay, so we have now explored the 5 main sectors of the tourism industry, as we can see on the screen now. So we've looked at the different parts of the transportation sector, the entertainment sector, the food and beverage sector, connected industries and the accommodation sector.